The name's Fieros, Fieros Reborn. Welcome to my channel. This is the Shadow channel. Shadow. Look at this piece of work. The right piece of work it is. It's a right nasty piece of work. It's actually not too nasty. It's quite nice. So this is called Shadow, and this is by the by the artist Welsh Rabbit. As you can see, signed down here. Welsh Rabbit, which, as we know, is a type of cheese on toasty kind of dish. So this is something that I did today under the name of Welsh Rabbit. It kind of looks to me like some kind of spaceship thing, some kind of UFO thing, maybe in space with some neon farts going on. These are the neon farts, like spaceship farts or something. Planets, I don't know what the hell. Yeah, with a penis, blue penis in the middle there, pissing out pink, squirty blob piss of some kind. Done by the artist Welsh Rabbit. So, this is for sale. However, I don't know how much for, and I don't know where you're going to get it from either, because I haven't actually put it up anywhere to facilitate the sale of the item. But it will be for sale. So if you like that and you think, oh yeah, that's quite cool, I'll have that in my room, or wherever in your house, or just you want to carry it around in your backpack and look at it on the train occasionally and go, ah, Shadow. So it's got a lot of energy in it. If you hold it, you will go, oh yes, it does have energy in it, and you will go, oh, okay. So whatever. Let's put Shadow. Well, we might be able to put Shadow over here. Let's lean him on some books, maybe, shall we? No, maybe we shan't. Ah, why is life so difficult? I hope you can't see my bum hole or my bum cheeks, because then I'll get banned off YouTube. Again, not again, but right. And also in other news, this is a day of news. Welcome to Fieros News. In other news, oh bloody hell! Hold on, let me just. Come on, we can do this. Welsh Rabbit. I need to find some sort of platform. Ah, that leads me on to the news. Everything is related today. Platform. Another platform instead of YouTube. Because YouTube is a pile of wank, if I do say so myself. Come on then. Let's put that there. Aha, another platform. Yay! Because YouTube is a pile of wank. Why do I say that? Well, I have already done a video on it I believe it's on a different channel of mine, actually. I've got like 7 different channels. I've got one called Ross Alastair Wilson, which is my real name. Fieros Reborn is just the name of a name. It's the name of a name. It's my pseudonym number 1. Numero uno. Right. I bet you can't even fucking see it, can you? Ah, well, it's up there. Good. It is in the house. In the house. Right. So, on the other channel called the Ross Alastair Wilson channel, I think I did a video on that channel. Might even be on this one. Bloody hell. Why don't I know anything about myself? Why don't I know anything about my life? Yeah, well, there is a video about YouTube and how it's crap for money. And I think it's kind of crap for money even when you're actually earning money. Like, I'm not actually earning any money from YouTube, and I never have. Let's say that again. I never have earned any money from YouTube. And the reason I think is because, well, I don't know, but I think it's because my content is oftentimes a bit controversial or a bit close to the mark. Way past the fucking mark, and therefore it's like, yeah, it's on this channel. It's called YouTube Monetization Porno Coffee Business Rant. YouTube Monetization Porno Coffee Business rant. At the time of videoing, it's got 44 views. And let's just have a listen.
Hello, welcome to my channel. And I would like to just talk about YouTube
Yeah.
and the world in general.
Very
Number
good.
one, YouTube. YouTube.
Right.
What's going on with YouTube? There was a shooting in the YouTube headquarters.
Oh God, yeah, I forgot about
Be
that.
entertained. We go to YouTube to
Blah 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 blah.
as a whole as to what you set your price at.
Blah blah blah. Yeah. So basically, I was talking about the fact that YouTube is a shit platform, basically, because it requires you, for the one thing, to have loads and loads of subscribers and loads of views in order for you to make any money, because the revenue mainly is based around advertising, but you do have links to things like Patreon, where you can like have ways to monetize your content. But right, what I was saying in this previous video, I think I was saying it anyway, was that what I wanted, really, and what I had wanted for a long time, was just for there to be a little fucking button that you click on YouTube where, as a content looker, subscriber, like if I want to go onto YouTube and want to support people who I like and the content that I like, I want to be able to subscribe to their channels and give them a little bit of money. And as a creator, I want to have the ability for people to subscribe to my channel, which means to actually pay me for making my content, rather than it being indirect payment through advertising, because I think that that's a silly way of doing it, because it means that people have bottom lines to their creativity, to their creator production line, if that makes sense. So it costs money to produce videos, believe it or not. Even if it's just that your costs are to stay alive, food, clothing, rent, bills, that's still costs. That's your cost to run your channel. Even if you're not buying any new equipment, even if you're not making any merchandise, whatever, your outgoings are, bills, food, rent, your internet provider subscription, blah blah blah. So it does cost money to make videos. There are costs involved, and to make a profit or make any money really at all directly from what you are doing, it was impossible from YouTube itself. You had to go, you had to either get money in directly from advertising or sponsorships, or sell merchandise, or get off the website and sort of attract people to other places to be able to get paid money for what you do, which I thought was ridiculous and shit, and it just doesn't work as a business model. It's a terrible business model from the creator's point of view. It's just am I going to get paid? How much am I going to get paid? Wait, I have to have, what was it, 10,000 subscribers or 1,000 subscribers? I can't remember what it is. A certain amount of subscribers before I can even monetize my videos nowadays. And then, oh wait, so I only get money based on ad revenue from clicks. What? And I can only have certain ads playing against my videos, and a lot of my content is not able to be monetized because it's got content that is not suitable to be combined with adverts, whatever. You're like, what the hell? How are you actually supposed to make money by actually being yourself and doing what you want to do directly as well? Directly, right? So I came across Piper Blush is latest video on her channel, Piper Blush, and she has set up basically exactly what I was wanting for so long, which is called cocoscope.com, COCO scope.com, right? And I'll read you what it says straight up, but you can look at, I have already put a link in the description, you see. Anyway, yeah, so it says Cocoscope, host and monetize your content without censorship. Boom. CocoScope is a censorship-free video hosting platform that allows creators to make money right away. No censorship, instant monetization, public and exclusive videos. So this is what I was looking for, really. I was looking for, look, it says here, get paid by your fans. You can accept tips, monthly subscriptions from fans, or allow the purchase of individual videos. This is exactly what I was wanting. I wanted to be able to receive donations, also the monthly subscription thing, and another idea I thought of was actually selling videos as chunk. So here is a video, here is a series of videos. You can buy it for X amount of money, those specific videos, right? Like, because what's really the difference between buying a YouTuber's content and buying a DVD? I mean, it just, obviously things are going to vary with regard to production values, but some of the stuff that you can get on YouTube is really valuable information or very entertaining, whatever, to the same caliber and to the same level of quality, or at least entertainment value, as regular TV or movies or Netflix shows, whatever. You know, it's really about how much enjoyment am I getting from it. So if my enjoyment is kind of the same, then how come like I'm getting all this free content for one thing, and part of me feels like maybe it would be good if we can actually give something back. But also, mainly, I'm thinking of this from a creator's point of view. Mainly, as a creator, I'm like, I want to be paid for what I'm doing. This is not just like some hobby. I mean, yeah, I have been doing it for no money because it is a hobby, but it's not that's not what I want it to be. It's not purposed. The purpose of it is not to be a hobby. The purpose of it is to be a living, an income. Yeah, a profession, even professional sitter in the roomer and talker. So I'm glad that I found cocoscope.com. I have got a channel up there already. I am basically going to migrate my whole of this channel, Fieros Reborn, over to CocoScope over the next few months or however long it takes. Because I want my content on there where I can actually be given tips, and I can be given, I can receive subscriptions, and people can buy stuff, and I can make exclusive content, naked content. Because there's also like, there's you're allowed to have your top nudity, topless, top clothing, nudityness, top boobs. I can have my boobs out finally, because we know you've all been wanting to see them. Woohoo! Oh yes, and they are pretty big at the moment. So yeah, so that's on there. So that's a great thing. They're also very what does it say? Blah, blah, blah. I can't remember where I saw it, but it was saying something like LGBTQIURSTVWXYZ friendly, very friendly. But I can't find the information, Captain. Yeah. Oh yeah, okay. So yeah, they're very open to all different kinds of content and different kinds of views, and it's not a big deal. So that's amazing. Why am I doing that? Okay. Okay, other news. This is new. These trousers are new. I mean, these PJs, bottoms. Fuck. Bottoms are new, right? They're cool. And these are new. Oh yeah, baby. Right, I'm getting in the zone for Halloween, but also I've needed slippers for ages, and finally I decided to get myself some slippers. Come on now. Okay. Yeah, so that's new. Ding! New. These are new. These are new. This is new. My face is new. Okay. This CocoScope thing is new. Everything is new. It's all reborn! We're reborn! I've been told that I annoy people by shouting too loud. Ruh, 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 ruh. And I squeal a lot as well, and the squealing is bad. Squealing is bad! I'm hyper today, man. I had one energy drink at like 2 p.m, bros and sisters. See? Sis. Bros, brothers, sisters, sis, bros, sisters. Yeah, and I'm still fucking. I don't know. It can't be from the hype. It's from this shadow thing. I'm telling you. When I did all the black stuff, right, I felt this weird pain feeling inside me as I was doing it, and it went, and then went, and then I went, bing. Oh my god, I'm hyper. Yeah. So that's how it is. That's the case. And this is tea, but it's decaf, so that's no worrisomeness. There's no worries, mate. No worries, mate. Right, now let's carry on with Fieros' story time. That's alright, actually, that is. So, you just think you could be paying to see this rather than getting this bully bullshit bollocks for free. Why would you want to receive this for free? You want to pay for this? Man drinks tea in front of camera. Man sits on chair drinking tea for money. Give me your money. Come on. A paper sip it is. Paper sip. This is going to cost you £1. Pay up. Let's have it. Give me the money. Give me the money. Another one. Another one's coming. £2 that is. Paper sip. Right. Shall we get the calculator out? We haven't had the calculator out for ages. Come on now. Let's try and do numbers again. So here we have the Communal Garden calculator. On 4 minus 7 equals minus 3 plus 2 equals minus 1 times 5 equals what the motherfucking hell. Whoa. No, I didn't see that coming, did ya? Or maybe you did, because if you know anything about maths, and you did see something like that coming. But I did not see it coming. Minus 6172839.3 E. It's all about the E. No one knows what it means. Well, probably many people do, but I don't. Let's see it. Oh no. Oh, okay. Bye. That was exciting. Plus M plus M plus M plus. Imagine if, like, you were trapped in a maze of some kind, perhaps on a crystal maze of some kind, and you had to type in the right numbers to escape. But they were playing a trick on you, and every time they said, "Oh, press the plus button," they actually meant press the M plus. What's 1 plus M plus 1 plus 1 plus M plus 1 plus M plus 1 plus M plus 1? It's just equaling 1. Let's try 2 then. 2 plus M plus 2 plus M plus 2 plus M plus. Let's do minus 3 plus M plus 1 minus 1 plus M plus 5 minus M plus 4 equals, I didn't press it, 4.2 equals, Emmerich, 18. I knew it. I knew it was going to be 18. I can't get rid of the M. Get rid of the M! Okay, so let's get rid of the M by minusing it away. Nope, that didn't do it. Let's Emmerich it away, because Emmerich stands for Ray. Get away, Emmerich. Oh, I got it away. Yeah! percentage, oh, nothing. 0. Percentage, 6%, nothing. No. 5%, nothing. 4 plus 8%. Where? That's right. 4.32. Okay, that's enough now. Oh dear, Emmerich. So now let's get back to the serious matter of discussing my gay sex. £3. Paper sip. Paper sip. Ship it. Let's see how annoying I can make this sound. Oh yeah. £7. £8. I should have upped the price. Right, it's from now on it's £2 per sip. So this is a £10. This is a £10 video now. Let's just randomly waste paper clips, whatever these are called, staples. Look, let's see if you can. There are none in. There are ones in there. Now, don't do this at home, children. Only do it in the playground. I might be able to actually fire it at you. This is scary stuff now. Did you see it coming at you? Did it go like... Look. Yes, if you can see it come through past the camera, then that's good for you. Did you see it come out? Oh, fuck. Now, I don't actually want to break the camera, so I'm just going to, like, aim it just above the camera. Oh, it's scary, isn't it? Woo! Okay, let's just do it in lame-o mode with the old red one. I'm not even doing it. Oh dear. Just wasting. Oh, that's £10. Right. Paper snip. Paper paper. Staple. Paper staple. Paper. Piper Blush is a person. Look her up on YouTube. She's got giant boobs. But I remember the days when she didn't have giant boobs because she had boob implants. She got fresh new boobs implanted into her old boobs. But I actually personally prefer it when she had her natural boobs. So I'm a natural boob person. I figure if I have natural boobs, then I am only attracted to women with natural boobs as well. Yeah, it's just a thing. I just don't find the older boob implants attractive. It's just not. I'm not about it. Never have done, apart from when I was like really teenagery, like a 14, 15-year-old. But after that, I was just like, just don't find it attractive. I just feel it's fake because it is fake, and that turns me off. I've also experienced them, and they're just not the same as real boobs. They're all hard and weird, or they're just different feeling. Meh. Right, let's get on to some real gay topics. Mr.B was a person, is a person still. I believe he's married now, actually. Well, he has a different surname. He has a dual barrel surname now. So he's married to a man, and I am not married to a man, which I'm glad. However, I did go into a coffee shop one time, and there was a man in the coffee shop, and that man was flirting with me, and I thought, good Lord. And then, randomly, many months later, I found out that that man was actually Mr. B's partner, and I saw a picture of them together on Facebook, and I was like, your boyfriend, Mr. B, has been flirting with me. Oh, how interesting! How interesting that the ex-boyfriend gets flirted with by the current boyfriend. Oh, how interesting. I didn't tell him though, but I just thought that was very interesting indeed. How both of them fancy me. I don't care.
I don't care. I actually kind of almost used it as a weapon and went, your boyfriend was flirting with me to Mr. B to try and get him back in a way, but I didn't in the end. Because I realised that would be a childish move, even more childish than firing staple guns at the camera. Because no one can get hurt with that apart from possibly me. Or the camera. Anyway, so, yeah, Mr. B. Maybe I finished talking about him now, actually. I'm not sure. I mean, I could say more about the stuff that happened while I was living with him. He was quite obsessed about my finances and wouldn't let me make my own financial decisions. I think I technically still owe him £400 for a trip we went on to Bath, which he paid for most of the stuff. In fact, all of the stuff, really. And I felt guilty about that during that time, and he kind of used that against me. He sort of wanted me to pay him back, but then he was trying to let me off at the same time. So basically, it was a double bind or a double whammy scenario where on the one hand he was like, yeah, he would bring it up and guilt trip me about it, and then when he was in a different mood, he'd be like, oh, it doesn't matter, it's okay, and then he'd bring it up and guilt trip me about it again. So I'm like, So he'd remind me about how much I owe him, and then he'd go, oh, it's okay, pay me back when you want to, or something like that. So it's just never a firm boundary, and it was like I couldn't afford it, and also I wasn't really sure whether he actually wanted me to pay it back or not, or whether he was just using it as some kind of bargaining, guilt-tripping tool against me. Anytime he wanted to manipulate me a little bit, he'd bring up this this factor of this money that I owed him for this trip, which technically was just his choice to just pay for stuff. So, what a dick. Okay, so there was another trip we went on as well. Actually, I resent him for a lot of stuff, really. Right, so there was one trip we went on. I can't remember exactly where it was, but we were sort of staying in a hotel that also had a golf course. We weren't there for a golf weekend, but the hotel that we went to just happened to have a golf course. And I'd bought a load of stuff to read and study and stuff and listen to, because I bought this I got this borrowed this book from the library on classical music, and I believe it had a CD that came with it as well. And I wanted to learn about classical music because, being a musician, I felt like classical music was an important thing to learn about as a background, sort of background base of knowledge, even though so I had knowledge obviously of pop music and guitar music, and I had knowledge of how to play the guitar and read some music to a limited level, but I still was able to read some music very slowly. Notation, I mean, standard notation, and also tab notation. But I just felt like I wanted to learn about classical music at that time, so I got this little book and I got this little CD, and honestly, the reason I read so much was because I just didn't want to be with him. And it's harsh, I know, but that's just the truth. I just didn't want to be with him. I just wanted to be by myself, and I just wanted to I was really kind of obsessed with my learning. At that time, I wanted to learn about everything. Learning was like a big thing for me. So I was at uni at that time, and I was really into my learning. I mentioned in the last video how I was stressed with all the things I was doing, but this is kind of, I'm describing various different phases I went through over a period of about a year or so. So there was phases where I was really, really into learning, and I was I got this book early on at uni called Study Skills Success or something, which is all about learning how to learn and learning more effectively. And I'd oh man, I just was like, I'd come up with this kind of system of highlighting things and annotating things and stuff to try and maximize my absorption of information. And I'd listen to these accelerated learning tapes as well. These tapes by Brian Tracy. if you're interested, he's got a tape series about accelerated learning, where you do various different extra things to enhance your recall and enhance your absorption of material. So, reading with highlighters, marking things down, writing out key phrases, doing pictures, listening to classical music while you learn. What else? Doing kind of digests of things, so just like reducing things down, summaries, and like the way you read things as well, be more strategic and structured about how you actually go about reading things, and always be kind of like reviewing what you're learning so that you really have a good grasp of everything as you go along. And there's a lot more to it than that, but those are just some tips there. Flashcards, blah blah blah. Yeah. Spider diagrams. Kind of brainstorm diagrams, mind maps, stuff like that to help learning. There's loads of information out there about how to learn more effectively, but I was really into it at that time. Being at uni, I wanted to do well, and I think like I kind of just was. I think overwhelmed, overexcited maybe. I was really excited about these massive new opportunities that were coming up in my life to expand my knowledge and expand my understanding and just expand my learning and have new experiences. Going to uni that first year. Oh, another thing as well that I did at uni was wrote some articles for the newspaper, the student newspaper. Yeah. I did loads of stuff. I did the first one I did was kind of misleading actually, so I'm not very proud of it, but there was a demonstration on the university campus. It was like the first week or the first day or something, I can't remember. First week. And I sought out the newspaper place and I like did this article because there was this fire services demonstration of a car crash, and the fire services were showing how they would rescue people from a car crash or something. It was just kind of a demonstration, I don't know, but they did it on campus, right? And not many people actually saw that particular demonstration, but I got some guy to take some pictures for me with his professional digital camera, and I wrote an article with a headline. I actually got the front page of the newspaper: "Car crash on campus," and like it was really misleading because it wasn't actually about a real car crash. It was just a demonstration. So these days, what you call it is clickbait. It was just newspaper bait. It's like completely misleading because it just the whole car crash on campus made it seem, and with like a picture of this crashed car on campus, it was like people obviously are going to look at that and go, "Oh my god, what happened?" And then you actually read the article, which is down below. It's like, yeah, there was a demonstration done by the fire services of a car crash on campus. So partly I was like, I felt a certain smug satisfaction for tricking people, but then afterwards I thought, that was really misleading, and I bet people read that and went, "Oh," and then they read the article and went, "Oh." So, yeah, £12. Yeah. So that was interesting. That was good. And then I did another article as well, which was about it was about talking to people. I had an obsession with talking to people as well in those days, and I had an obsession with the fact that I felt like people in general were becoming more and more socially isolated. I may have even said it about being related to the internet, that even though we have the internet and all these different ways of connecting with each other, by the way, Facebook had not been invented just yet. It was invented in 2000. Facebook was invented by Indian, apparently. Facebook was invented on which date? February 4th, 2004. Yeah, but it wasn't actually being used across the whole world in the way that you see. So, 2006, it was available to anyone with a valid email address along with an age requirement of being 13 and older. Yeah, so it actually came out when I'd finished uni, really. Facebook was not, no one had heard of it until I'd actually finished, until I'd quit my uni. And I was in America. That's when I really started using Facebook. So, where was I going with this? Facebook, uni, Facebook. No, I wrote an article in the newspaper about the fact that I felt like people were being more and more socially isolated because of the internet almost. In that, like, I didn't really know anyone down my street anymore, down this street. I still don't really know anyone down my street. I don't want to know them right now. But back in those days, I kind of did want to know them. I sort of felt like something was lost in our community relations, that we don't really talk to our neighbours that much anymore. My mum actually talks to our neighbours there quite a lot, and I talk to my neighbour to the right of us a fair amount. They've got a couple of kids who are like a little bit younger than me, so one of them's actually just started uni recently, and the other one finished a while ago. So he's like, I don't even know how old he is, 26 or something maybe, but so he's quite close to my age, so I relate to him quite well. I've actually shown him 3 out of my 4 psych ward books, and he's given me some good feedback on that. So yeah, so there is more of a neighbourhood relation scheme going on right now. But back in those days, I felt like no one knew each other, no one talked to each other, and everyone was kind of isolated in their own little houses. And I just wrote an article about this because I went on a day rampage of talking to everyone down my street. Basically, I went knocking on everyone's door, and I said something like, "Hi, yeah, I live over the road. I just sort of wanted to say hello because I realised that people don't really talk to each other very much anymore, and I just wanted to introduce myself. My name's Ross, blah blah blah." And what happened was I actually got an art commission from it. Because like a couple of people, the lady who is a mother of 2 small children in the house down the road, 2 doors down the road, 2 doors down, a lesser known band. 3 doors down, well known band. 2 doors down, not so much. Yeah, so I went to that person's house and I spoke to them, and they'd seen me carrying pieces of my GCSE and AE level artwork, and putting it in the car and stuff, or taking it to school or something. I don't know. They'd seen me carrying these big pieces of work, and she asked me if I could do a portrait of their 2 children, just doing a sort of pencil drawing of it, or painting or something. I don't know what she wanted exactly. Painting. She wanted a painting of it. And I took the commission. It was going to be 40 quid for the thing, and I actually found that I couldn't get the likeness right on the kids, and I was tearing my hair out doing it. Actually, it was just becoming a nightmare. And every time I spoke to her, she would ask me about whether I'd done it or not. And I was like, no, I haven't done it. And I couldn't do it. I just felt like, I mean, I could have done it, but it was overstressing. It was like overstressing. And by the time I actually gave them what I had got, I just said to her, I was like, I can't finish it properly. I don't know, I've hit a wall on it. And I think she gave me 10 quid or something for it. And it was like, it's just a small sketch of them. And it was actually all right. But I think it was just more of a crisis of confidence, really. Which, interestingly, ties into how I feel about my work generally, or how I have felt about my work, about being paid for my work. Crisis of confidence. It's fine for me to just make my work and stuff, but to be commissioned, I sometimes feel like I can't match my own grade or something. I don't think that's entirely relevant now. It certainly was relevant for a while, being afraid to make commitments to commissions, but I don't know. So that was the first ever commission. and I bailed on it. I bailed it. Stressing me out, man. It was really stressing me out. Like, I felt really guilty that I hadn't done it yet. The whole deadline thing, it just felt it was hanging over me, and I'd agreed to do it, and I just felt like I couldn't do it, and I wasn't enjoying it, and I didn't like it, and I thought, they're going to be old by the time I've fucking done this, and these were young children. So one was 10 and one was 8, I think, and I was trying to draw these kids. I was going, I can't get it right. Like, one of them just kept looking too fat. And I just gave up, basically. I said, look, this is what I've got. And she was like, oh, that's actually good. That's fine. She gave me a tenner for it. Well, maybe she gave me more money. I can't remember. She might have given me even more than the original price. She might have given me 50 quid. I can't actually, or 20 quid. I can't remember. 30 quid. Who knows? She gave me some money and she was thankful. So I was like, thank fuck for that. And then they moved away as well, so that was good. Yeah, so that was a result of just going around and knocking on people's doors and saying hello and introducing myself. And so I wrote this article about that experience of just deciding to talk to people and make connections. And there was another thing that came. Well, I blagged basically that something else good had come. Like, there was a guy over the road who said he had some connections with music producers or record something or other, blah blah blah. It never came to anything, basically. Those things tend not to ever come to anything. I've come across many people. If you're older than about 50, no offense, if you're older than about 50 and you say to me that you've got like connections with record studios, producers, record companies, management, anything like that, I tend to go, yeah, okay. Because in my experience, every one of those people has usually been a little bit too drunk, a little bit too old, and just liking to blab about some kind of connection that they kind of used to have or still do kind of have with someone who's vaguely related to the industry, but they make it sound much more big and important than it actually is. So they'll say something like, oh yeah, I can get you into a record label. And what you'll find is they know the brother of someone who works in the A&R team of a really small label. And you're like, that's not helpful. That doesn't actually do anything for me. I think I even gave him a CD. Nothing came of it. So just nuts to that. But yeah, so I wrote this article. It was basically saying that it can be fruitful to just kind of make connections in your local area. So that was my second article. I don't know if I wrote anything else, but I did do 2 articles, so that's good enough for me. Yeah, I think I just didn't have the fucking time. I was doing so many different other things. But that magazine, that article was called Spark. No, the newspaper was called Spark. Sorry, the newspaper was called Spark. Yeah, maybe I'll still be called that. Mr.B. So I had this boyfriend. Blah blah blah. Okay. Now I was talking about this holiday we went on. So we went away on this little trip thing to a golfing hotel. I don't know why exactly we went to a golf course hotel, but we went to a golf course hotel, or hotel with a golf course. I can't remember what our actual plans were, but we stayed in this hotel, and I had this musical book. That sounds weird. I had a book about classical music with a CD, and I was planning to listen to the CD and read the book and learn about classical music, having some time to do that, and that was like something I wanted to do. And then all he wanted to do was like stuff together and be with me like a normal couple, right? But for me, it was, I just wanted to be away from him. I don't think I wanted to go to the thing in the first place. I was just dragged around by him. So we're in this hotel and I just tried to like have a little time to read my book and listen to my music. And I think he told me off or something, or he was like pissed at me because I didn't want to spend every waking hour with him. And he wanted to go out and do stuff, and it was just like, oh god, it's such a claustrophobic atmosphere on that holiday. So I remember having a bath in the hotel room by myself, and just having these very anxious and scared thoughts and distressing thoughts like about him, but also just about myself, and just I felt really trapped in my own thoughts in the bath. And I was trying to meditate with them and accept them, like, and kind of embrace them, and bring my embrace my thinking, embrace my feelings, but I was finding it really difficult. Um, and I just felt like, so something about Mr. B was he was really invasive with him into my life and into my mind. So it came to a point where, like, he could sense if I wasn't feeling good in my brain, in my anxiety or whatever. And then he would deal with that by kind of trying to get inside my brain and pick it apart. Like, it's hard to describe what I mean, but it's like he wouldn't allow me as well. He wouldn't allow me to have that experience, and he would always be trying to squash it or make it go away or fix it or like smother it somehow. Smothering is a good word. Um, I remember, for example, waking up after having nightmares or a bad dream on a few different occasions, and he could tell that I'd had a nightmare. And it's like he wouldn't let me just have that in my own space. He got affected by that as well. So he got upset that I'd had a nightmare. And so now I'm feeling guilty for having had a nightmare because now he's upset because I've had a nightmare. And it's like he wouldn't let me, he wasn't okay with me feeling in any kind of distress. He couldn't allow me to be in distress. So what that meant was that every time I was in distress, he would immediately kind of pounce on it and try and like sort it out or change it or make it go away or something, right? And for me, that was really that made it a hell of a lot worse. It was really invasive. It was really distressing to have someone else being like, it's like if you feel bad, then he feels bad. So I'm not allowed to feel bad because anytime I feel bad, then that sets him off feeling bad, and he then makes me feel more bad for having felt bad in the first place. And it's like a trap. So I'm not allowed to feel anything basically, and I'm not allowed to think anything either. I felt like he was a kind of thought police as well. He needed to know my thoughts all the time. He always needed to know what I was thinking. He always needed to know what I was thinking. And so it's like I wasn't allowed to have my own private thoughts to myself. He must know everything that I was thinking all the time. So what that meant was it's kind of just this mess of merged thinking and feeling with this other person who is really reactive and negative about anything that comes into my mind. So, for example, I wasn't having the best of times with dealing with this whole gay thing. I really was not comfortable with the gay thing, and my mind was extremely distressed about the fact that I was in a gay relationship, yet I was finding women attractive, and I couldn't understand that. I could not make sense of that. Like, so I was in this gay relationship with Mr.B, and every hot girl that walked past, I'm thinking she's hot, and I'm really attracted to her, and I fancy her, and I'm feeling lustful towards her, and then so I'm kind of like self-recriminating on the fact that I felt like I was committing some kind of sin of adultery somehow, because I was even like to think a lustful thought about a woman felt like I was committing a kind of infidelity of some kind, like an infidelity in my mind at least. So I was over stressing myself about my thoughts really. So yeah, that was really hard because I felt like I wasn't allowed, for example, I wasn't allowed to think about women at all, yet I was thinking about women loads. I'd still masturbate to women. I didn't, oh God, as well. The whole gay thing was just a real nightmare for me. So Mr.B was trying to get me into gay culture, really. I keep saying the word really. Mr.B was trying to get me into gay culture. Like, he wanted me to become more gay, basically. And I found the whole thing really uncomfortable. I found it uncomfortable that I was with him, and then we were watching lots of gay stuff as well. So we watched Queer as Folk, and we watched Brokeback Mountain, and he was gay. Mr.B was out and out, straightforwardly gay. He knew that. He'd known that since he was 5 or 8 or something, right? And in a way, I'm kind of jealous of people like that because they've always known their sexuality. I have always been in the unknown about my sexuality. I have always been in the unknown about it. Since I was young, I never had a concept of what is straight. I never had a concept of what is gay. Then when concepts of straight and gay came along, and bisexual, and also transsexual stuff, I'm sorry if I'm offending anyone by the terms I'm using, but I'm pretty undereducated in those terms. I think I need to actually do a bit of reading, some decent reading about. I'm probably going to get a book about sexuality and gender issues, just so that I can brush up on things, be a bit more in the know about things, so I'm not pissing people off. But also for my own self kind of healing, to come to terms with my own understanding of sexuality. But yeah, I've always been in the unknown, and I'm still in the unknown. Like, some part of me has never felt comfortable on any definition. But straight is the most accurate out of all of them. Yeah. So yeah, when I was young, I didn't have an identity of sexuality, and then when it became necessary to assert a position on sexuality, it just was very anxiety provoking. To say that I was straight came with, oh, you have to be anti-gay then. Like, you cannot, if you're straight, then you have to be somewhat homophobic. And then I'd realised, as I've said before, that I'd had different homosexual experiences in my childhood and in my early adolescence. So it just was weird to say that I was straight meant I had to kind of deny that these things had happened in my past, and I had to hide them from people and pretend that those things didn't happen, because then I had to kind of. But then again, I was actually genuinely attracted to women as well. So it's not like I was never really attracted to the boys in the past. It was just because they were there and we were experimenting and learning about our bodies and stuff. But I was never actually attracted to them. I never kind of looked at them or fantasized about them and was attracted to them or attracted to their bodies. It was just literally kind of as a part of learning about sexual, how the body works pretty much, and play. That's really what it was. And in fact, I noticed that I got distressed when some of that exploration continued after a certain point, and I decided I didn't want to do that with the other boy, and I was quite distressed that he kept going at it, and I was like, I don't want to do it. So it's a similar situation in that sense with Mr.B, that he was kind of, he really wanted, he was gay, he wanted me to be gay, I wasn't gay. Like, one of the things that he said early on in the courting phase when he was pursuing me was that he wanted to convert me to gayness. And you could say that that was kind of what he tried to do over the period of our relationship, 2-year relationship, by the way, was he was trying to convert me. And it just wasn't happening. It just wasn't working. Like, I was doing the sex, but feeling conflicted about it, kind of enjoying it from the sensation point of view, but in terms of the emotion and the imagination aspect of it, not enjoying it. Like, I was fantasizing about women. I was fantasizing about my ex-girlfriend while having sex with a guy. And I also genuinely, after a little while, did not enjoy anal sex, being the dominant one, I suppose, being on top. Yeah, and I didn't ever receive full penetration myself. I just wasn't up for it, couldn't handle it, didn't like the feeling of it. So it's a shame from his perspective because he never got to have that experience with me because I just wasn't. I didn't want. He had a bigger dick as well. I just didn't want it up my arse. Simple as that. And it hurt, and I wasn't comfortable with it. We tried it a couple of times, and I was just like, no, I'm sorry. So we did mutual masturbation. That was actually okay. That was pretty good. Blowjobs. Okay, they were all right. I just feel shit talking about this. I hate talking about this. It's just not a nice topic for me to talk about. Because the whole sexuality thing around that time with him was just fraught with distress. Just really distressing, anxiety provoking. Felt like a trap. Felt like I couldn't be genuine. Like I wasn't allowed to have these thoughts about women because whenever I expressed about them, he would go mad. As in, he would be upset with me for it. So I had to kind of try and stop my thoughts about women, which just made it worse. So I was thinking more about women because I was trying to stop them. There's a little part of me that's kind of happy in a way that it sort of tells me that I am straight, and I'm kind of happy that that is the case. A little bit of conflict about that though. Well, why am I? There's still a part of me that is saying, "Oh, it's homophobic to be straight." Ah, God, it doesn't make any sense. Yeah. So what else was there? So he tried to make me watch Queer as Folk, and I just found it really. I just found it uncomfortable. I found the whole thing uncomfortable. I found the whole gay culture thing uncomfortable. I found Brokeback Mountain uncomfortable to watch through. We watched some other program about a drag queen. Sorry, it's the correct terminology for that particular film. We watched a film about a drag queen with Patrick Swayze. I don't know the name of it, but I didn't find that particularly great either. The whole thing was just kind of. I found everything uncomfortable. Yeah. And he was really into Jake Gyllenhaal. So he watched other Jake Gyllenhaal movies, not only just Brokeback Mountain, but other Jake Gyllenhaal movies. And he was a really Mr. B. I'm talking about. Mr. B was really a homosexual man, and I was not a homosexual man. I was having to try and think my way into being a homosexual man, and then really not actually being a homosexual man. You know, I was trying to kind of force myself into something that I just didn't actually feel genuinely. So it was shit. Plus, we have all the different oppression instances from him to me. Like he wanted basically for me to run everything I ever did past him. And if I didn't run it past him and he just kind of found out that I'd done something without telling him, he'd have a go at me and make sure that I ran things past him in the future. I can give examples of that. I will do in further videos. But so I'm still trying to talk about this holiday thing that we went on to this hotel with the golf thing. So I was in this bath. I was distressed and not having a good time. I can't remember whether it was after that or before or another occasion or another day, but we had an argument. And I just wanted to leave the room and go out for a walk and get some fresh air so that we could have some kind of time out and figure things out. And he'd never done this before, but he barricaded the door. Like he actually went to the door, closed it, and stood in the way of it while he was shouting at me. And I just was like, I need to get out. I need to get out. And I just kind of pushed past him and opened the door and got out. And I was just like, fuck this. Like, I need to get out. And so I did. But the fact that he's barricaded the door and like was not allowing me out was I don't know, it's horrible, really. It was a horrible feeling, and he did apologize afterwards, but fuck, man, just feeling so trapped. Trapped is a good word to describe the feeling of that whole relationship. Trapped. So we somehow kind of made up, I think. I was pretty unhappy that whole time. Oh god, the whole relationship was a nightmare. He wouldn't let me have my own thoughts and feelings. He wouldn't let me have my own views. I remember we had this discussion one other time when we were on holiday again. We were on holiday in Kos, I think, somewhere in Greece, Sicily. Maybe it was Sicily, actually. Sicily, possibly. I can't fucking remember. That's not Greece, but I don't know where it was. Maybe it was Kos. Somewhere in the world we were on holiday, and we're having this argument because I wanted to be a martyr basically at that time. Like part of my philosophy of the whole Gandhi thing that I mentioned before, I wanted to be, if necessary, I would die for my beliefs. That was what I was going for. The whole environmentalism thing, right? And some friend of mine had suggested some philosophical conundrum about like if there was a nuclear weapon and I was the only one who was able to disable it, but I could only disable it by dying somehow. I don't know exactly why. Like that I would do it because it would be for the greater good and because it would save the world or something, yeah? So I was saying this to him and he just wouldn't let me have that. He wouldn't let me he just was arguing to me about no, you shouldn't do it, and because basically kind of he would be attached to me, and he was like, oh, he was just so fucking possessive. He couldn't let me even have myself to myself in an imaginary scenario. And also, again, like another example was I filled out a organ donor form at one point, right? And he had a go at me for that as well, because it's almost like he just would not allow me to own myself. He wanted to possess me. He wanted to own me. He wanted to have rights over me. Another example was when I did my artworks, right? He said he wanted to have the first refusal right of first refusal, because he was my boyfriend. Right of first refusal, which I'd never actually heard of, is a contractual right that gives its holder the option to enter a business transaction with the owner of something according to specified terms before the owner is entitled to enter into that transaction with a third party. So yeah, he wanted basically to have, he wanted to kind of own my work first before I was allowed to sell it to other people. Like, what? And he kept saying it. I want right of first refusal, and it's kind of childish because there was no actual contract set up at all ever, and it never actually happened. But he always said that it like kind of he would own it first. So I made a piece of work, and he said, "Well, it will be his first, and then if I want to sell it, I would have to ask him." Like, what? And like, luckily, I was sensible enough to say no to that one. But I did give him occasional pieces of work for himself. But just the fact that he was so fucking possessive, he actually wanted to own my works before I was able to give them to anyone else, or he wanted to have the option to own my works. Like if he wanted it, then no one else could have it, kind of thing. Well, fuck off, you dick. So possessive. So many instances of possessive behavior around me. Yeah, so the barricading of the door was the reason why I mentioned the whole hotel holiday scenario. Yeah, the guy wouldn't let me have my own thoughts. He wouldn't let me have my own feelings, especially if I was in some kind of distress. He wouldn't let me fantasize about women or think about women. He wouldn't let me have feelings about women. He pushed me into sex that I wasn't comfortable with. He was constantly pushing me to do things and watch things that I wasn't comfortable with. He would argue with me about my own independent views, which were nothing really to do with him, because he didn't like them. He like had a go at me for signing an organ donor form that was about my body, and he was like, so possessive. What else was there? Oh, there are other examples as well. I'll think of more later. Oh yeah, he made me write out a sheet of an agreement about my hair length, because I wanted to have my hair shaved for charity, and I got my head shaved for charity, right? He made me write out a fucking document for him, and I kind of was trying to appease this guy by writing this document out that said I would not shave my head to any less than sort of like 2 inches or something of hair, or 1 inch of 2 centimeters of hair, right? Again for the next 6 months, and he made me write out these all the like different points because the guy was a fucking freak, basically, fucking possessive freak. He couldn't handle me making my own decisions about my own life. Everything had to go through him. Other examples. I wanted to do a show at Edinburgh Festival, right? This was later on in our relationship. I'd been doing stand-up comedy for a while, been doing little gigs here and there. I think I even got paid for a couple of them, at least one of them anyway. Yeah, and I wanted to do a show at Edinburgh Festival because I knew this other comedian, and he was going to do a show, and I was thinking about doing it. I hadn't formalised any plans as such. It was just an idea that I'd had, and I was thinking of making a show at Edinburgh Festival. Now, it's pretty hard to put on a show at Edinburgh Festival. There's a lot of work that is involved, and sometimes you end up actually spending more money on making the show happen than you actually earn by doing the show. Anyway, as soon as I mentioned this, immediately he just started making problems. Problems. Where are you going to stay? Where are you going to get the money from to do it? You know, how are you going to get people to come along? Blah, blah, blah. But with the undertone that basically all it amounted to was, I'm not letting you do it. You're not going to do it. I don't want you to be away from me, which is what it really was. He was saying he didn't want me to be away from him for any length of time where I could do things with women. Then he was campaigning as well in a manipulative way to get me to, so that we could get married. I even bought a ring. I asked his mum and his dad if I could propose to him. Oh, God. I'm so glad I got out of that relationship. And I found out afterwards that the reason that he wanted me to marry him was because that if he had the ring on my finger, then he would know where I was and that I wasn't going to stray or whatever. Yeah, so it was a fucking nightmare. He would tell me off and get all insecure and whiny and annoyed at me if I didn't if I didn't speak to him every single day at like 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the evening while I was at uni for an hour. And he always wanted more time as well. More time. He was saying that he was an emotional wreck because I was at uni and he was at home. Just really oppressive person. We were just constantly having arguments about, it was basically like, I wasn't allowed to have my own views, and I wasn't allowed to have my own feelings, and I wasn't allowed to have my own thoughts. He tried campaigning me to kind of not be vegetarian and to not be vegan. Just everything. We were a total and utter clash on almost every level. He was conservative, I was green. That probably is a good summary of it, to be fair. He was closed and self-interested, and I was open and other-interested. Just fuck the guy. I'm going to have to talk about it more because I'm obviously not finished. At least I'm getting into the real, actual things that genuinely happened. Okay, well, I know it's been really long, but thanks for sticking it through if you've got this far. So yeah, let's have one last look at Shadow up there. And I will talk to you again soon. Maybe not tomorrow, but soon. Thanks for watching Shadow by Welsh Rabbit. Yeah, there you go. Shadow.